What is up, everybody? This is Drew, and
this is Brad.
And once again, you have been abducted by the Unidentified Flying Podcast.
Here to take you away.
Yeah, on a fantastic voyage. Let's do first contact, really. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to, here in a second, drop in some audio we recorded a couple of weeks ago we had Ryan on as a guest, and we talked about Batman vs. Superman, and then we recorded about 20-something minutes of something just of sports stuff, so totally unrelated to Batman vs. Superman. So we kind of just put that in our back pocket to use later.
He's going to be our NFL / the realist cowboy correspondent.
the pragmatic cowboy?
Yeah, literally. And he's just going to be on in the future, and hopefully we'll have some good material for you.
Cool. So since we're making this an actual, this is an episode, so let's get first contact out of the way real quick. Just throw it out there. UFPpodcast@gmail.com, at UFP Podcast on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook.
Hear, hear.
Jesus. All right. So, got that right for once.
You're always sweating bullets when you're going through that.
Oh, God, I get all serious. My eyes get wide. I tense up. I get really focused for an actual maybe 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
No follow-up on this episode.
Yeah, no follow-up.
Dive right in. I think we were talking about some NFL free agency stuff and a little bit of the draft. I think there was only one thing that's really changed as far as what we were talking about, because I think at the time he was talking about running backs with the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they picked up Alfred Morris.
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing that's really not up to speed as far as what we recorded. Other than that, it's just a lot of us talking shit at each other.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, me getting teamed up on, essentially.
Oh, come on now.
But I win in the end, so it doesn't matter. No, okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a little dead time here, and we're going to drop in that 20-something minutes, and then we'll come back and we're going to discuss some other stuff. So
yes, more sports.
Cool. So here we go. We're going to talk some football. What do you guys want to talk? Free agency or?
That's been the big story lately anyway. I mean, there's nothing. It's off season.
You know what? Actually, here's what we should do. We should take each of our teams. I'm a Chiefs fan. You're a Raiders fan. You're a Cowboys fan. And if your team made the playoffs, we'll talk about them.
Are we talking about of all time? Like how many times we've been there? Or
because I guarantee you,
right here, right now, baby.
Yeah. No,
the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while.
You're starting to sound like old. I thought I was the old guy here. You guys are starting to sound like old men living in yesterday.
What have the Chiefs done, dude? I mean,
they made the playoffs.
Oh yeah, hey.
I'm just kidding, dude. I am not going to act like the fucking Chiefs are anything to write home about. So I'm just fucking around. But yeah, so we're going to talk some football here. A lot of free agency moves. We kind of talked about it earlier off the air, but I mean, some interesting stuff. Patriots letting go of guys like Chandler Jones, which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it yet, but I was a little surprised with that.
And that guy was I
didn't even know how far how much he had left on his contract.
I think it's only a year, maybe. But you know what's kind of crazy with the Patriots is they'll trade guys like that. Bill will, and he's like sometimes. He sees something before everybody else does, like, hey, this guy might almost be done already. Didn't he have was he the one who was, arrested and he was, on, synthetic marijuana or something? Was that?
He had some kind of,
was that
a reaction right before the championship game?
I mean, maybe that has something to do with
partying at old Gronk's house or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
With as hated as the Patriots are, I mean, honestly... I wish the Cowboys were ran a little bit more like that. In reference to, you do what you got to do to win, because that's kind of the fucking idea. And instead of just investing all this, all these gambling that you do with your Greg Hardys and your, Pac-Man Jones, which they flirted with the idea of bringing him back.
Well, talk about you're a Cowboys fan, and you said you're a realist. What did you think about that whole Greg Hardy experiment this last year? We're done with it now.
Is he coming back?
No, I doubt it. Unless he comes back for 2 cheeseburgers and
bag of Doritos.
But they really, from a football standpoint, because personally I have my own opinions about everything, and that doesn't really matter when it comes down to who's going to knock heads together and win you some fucking football games. And with him, I was okay with it because we only paid him if he fucking did something. And the way that the contract was worked out is that he had zero guaranteed money. He got a little bit of a signing bonus, but everything was performance-based. Now, if he'd have gone out and blown the fucking doors off like he did a couple of years ago at Carolina, we'd have paid $14 million or something like that for him.
Yeah.
But if he's doing that, he's worth it. But it wound up being a headache, and everybody, with the whole blowing up on the sidelines, being a damn fool, already having a track record, I'd rather him not deal with it because we're going to sub him out every 3 or 4 plays anyway. And
would you have signed him in the first place anyway? Like you were talking about his track record, would you have even gone there?
You saying I got the big house in Dallas? I'm signing checks.
Yeah.
No, because I would have.
Because a lot of people take the tack, well, we shouldn't even sign him at all. He shouldn't even be on a team.
If I was going to sign him, it would have been at the deal that he had.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was entirely performance-based.
Yeah.
And if there's any organization that's going to be able to handle the media circus as it is, it's the one he went to.
Dallas.
And they handled it about as well as anybody could have handled it. If he'd have gone anywhere else, he wouldn't have got the attention.
Probably would have got paid more money.
He would have.
Yeah.
I think it was Tampa Bay was the other one that was in the running for him that did have some guaranteed money for him. But he had enough faith in his own abilities to where he felt he was going to make more money doing this. And he might have. But personally, with all the stuff that he was involved in or allegedly involved in, however one wants to look at it, I'd rather they didn't, just because.
Why bother?
He should have had to pay a little bit more, given that there was enough hoops that he jumped through to make him clear his name. And I from a morality standpoint, I wasn't pumped about it. From a football, get out there and win me a game. They'll play anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they're doing.
Yeah, don't have the water boy come out if they really need to.
Oh, what were you? You're not in jail right now. Can you tackle?
You could have been in jail 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
You're out right now. Get your ass out there.
Yeah. So
you're out on bail.
I agree with it from... If I was signing the checks, I don't know that I'd have made the same call, but they did what they did, and he didn't perform, so we didn't really have to pay him all that much. So
fair enough. What do you think about, let's say you got names floating around right now? I've heard RG3, Johnny Manziel floating around, possibly, maybe. Dallas is going to give him a look, give him a shot.
Me personally, I don't know why Johnny Manziel would be on a team. Not even just the Cowboys. I know you think you kind of take...
Well, I'll tell you why I think Johnny Manziel can be on a team.
Okay.
Because Greg Hardy can be on a team.
Well, I see. I'm not even... I'm just talking about from a pure football perspective.
I mean, he's the guy... How much time... I'll put it like this. How much NFL time has he gotten? Hardly any.
Well, how much do you need? What's the bottom? What do you?
I don't know for a quarterback with how bad quarterbacks are right now. I don't know, man. I mean, give Johnny Manziel 2-3 years underneath Tony Romo.
But for how much, man?
Yeah. I mean, again, but that's the thing. Right now, I think you can get Johnny Manziel at a bargain.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I think maybe.
Oh, you're going to pay for it in one way or another. Yeah, whether it's, because especially Dallas. If he goes to Dallas. Brandon Whedon's in Dallas, and Tony Romo throws 2 interceptions. Whedon. The most fickle fucking... really, some of the most fickle fans I've ever seen in my life. It's do you not remember life before Romo? No. Romo is... I'll still go to bat for Romo until the guy can't fucking play, because I remember Drew Henson. I remember Vinny Testaverde.
Quincy Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Romo's a good quarterback. I mean, say what you want. Tony Romo's a good quarterback.
The guy makes shit happen, given he's known for little things here and there that really cost. He's produced greatly there. By the time he's done, he's going to hold records at one of the most storied franchises in NFL.
Yeah, he's had a hell of a run.
It's not like he's a complete scrub.
No, no.
Yeah.
He's anything but. I think I think overall he's an elite quarterback.
I always play the game. I'm like, you can't go get Aaron Rodgers, but Who are you going to replace him with?
Mark Sanchez is on the market. Do we want to look at him?
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Denver jumped on that grenade. So,
but again, Mark Sanchez, Mr. Butt Fumble, can get a job. That's why I think Johnny Manziel isn't, unless Johnny Manziel is done in the NFL if he wants to be, or he's so boneheaded that he keeps behaving the way that he's behaved.
There's a reason he didn't play in Cleveland. That's what we tend to overlook. It's like, dude, the job was yours.
Yeah.
It was yours.
And he played some, but he either...
He took himself off the field.
Really?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I
didn't know that.
That's what I'm like. It's not that he's not
like
good
he
enough to play
leaving,
quarterback for 32 teams in the league. It's the fact that you combine how well he played anyway. You combine the crap that he goes through off field.
Sure.
You combine his fucking attitude towards both, really.
Yeah.
Why fucking bother?
Because they can generate money. All this comes back to money. They can generate ticket sales. They can generate
jersey sales. Yeah.
Attendance. You beef him up, but he did nothing to help himself.
Sure. I agree.
So, that's kind of like, well,
he hasn't done himself any favors, but I still think...
Yeah.
I still think that if he wants to, he can probably make a roster somewhere.
Of course.
Well, yeah, he's going to have to want to. He's going to have to. He'll have to realign his priorities. I don't know
I agree.
the guy. I don't, but still, just from what we've seen and the way everything's perceived.
Yeah.
He's basically, this is what happened with him is when he doesn't have time. He has to prepare for a game on Sunday. What's he going to do if he knows he's only holding a clipboard on Sunday?
Sure.
He's got all this extra time. And he's in Dallas. He's got family around the area. You have a lenient front office that's going to allow you to do anything you want to do. I mean, you can pretty much attempt fucking murder there and still play on Sunday. They're going to overlook a lot of shit.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to take a chance on you,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
which we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's not over yet. I mean,
no, but like you're saying, like you could get them cheap, even regardless. Like teams and owners will not be like, I'm not going to give this guy millions of dollars, even if though it's on the low end, to not do shit.
Even if you got him for free, do you want to answer questions about him on every fucking Monday, whether he's going to start the next week?
Well, I mean, after a while, I think all that's a bit overrated, though, because you got to all these guys.
It's also life in the NFL.
All these guys in the sporting world have to answer dumb questions every day anyway. How do you think you're going to win this game? That's why I always like what's in basketball.
110%.
Popovich. We're going to score more points than them.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah.
Next. But I see what you're saying. I just think that I think that I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up on a team. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know that it's going to be the Cowboys. I don't know, but I just know that there's a lot of teams that could use a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a high pick. Draft's coming up. What do you think Dallas goes with?
My personal opinion. It's not probably the most popular opinion.
But that's why I want to hear it.
Best fucking player available. If it's a lineman, get the lineman. Even though we've spent
if it's defense, if it's offense, if it's quarterback,
best player. Okay. It's not. I mean, I don't think a quarterback and a running back. Wait.
I could see that. Yeah.
But if it's a lineman, why not?
Yeah.
It's a linebacker. We're always getting these boring ass lineman picks. Give it time. You plant the seeds, it will grow. And we witnessed a little bit of that, even though we couldn't really do the things we wanted to do because everybody knew exactly what we were going to do. Yeah. We were still pretty
had cap problems too, right?
Yeah, I think
you drafting those linemen and them being good was probably the best thing that could have happened for that team.
Yeah,
money wise, skill wise.
Yeah, I'd like him to go and get if like the Alabama guy, what's his name, Henry. If he falls to second, go ahead and grab him in the second. If he happens to fall that far,
he ain't gonna fall that far.
He might. Where do
running
running backs go?
Yeah, running backs are just not as valuable.
There's not. I mean, when did Gurley go? That's your question.
Yeah, but Gurley was a little different though. Gurley was all banged up at the time, so
put that production there though. When he wasn't banged up,
you really think Henry could fall to the second round?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Nowadays, yeah.
Who's going to go? He's got to be the first running back taken.
Sure, but not.
So I say surely there's going to be one running back.
Who's the Elliott guy? Isn't he? Is it Ezekiel Elliott? I'm not sure. I don't follow college.
And
it's a name I hear regularly.
Yeah, but dude, Derrick Henry is like one of those generational talents. I think.
Yeah, I know, man. But
he's like Adrian Peterson.
Dude, I think we would have heard more about him. Gurley is your.
I mean, how much more can you hear about him? Dude won the Heisman. Dude won the Heisman, 2 national titles, All-American every year he's played.
What's his name, McCarron? Didn't he do that shit too?
Win the Heisman? No.
But won like what, 4?
3 or something, yeah.
Yeah. So
but come on though. Derrick Henry's a fucking beast. I mean, all you gotta do is watch. I mean, all that.
But does that matter
is
if he's a beast? I'm like, he could be the next Adrian Peterson anyway, and they still wouldn't take a running back that fucking high. I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, I don't think Cowboys go running.
And never say never.
I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to take him for sure. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be there in the second round.
I mean, it's also a likely scenario that we draft 4. Say we don't like what necessarily. Say they have their eye on somebody else. They trade down to
get more picks or
the
whatever.
18th. What if Henry's there at the 18th?
Yeah.
And you already have 2. You say you trade and you got another second.
Plus, then isn't the salary different for him?
I'm sure that stair step kind of thing happens.
You don't have to pay as much. Because that's the thing, man. People don't want to pay a shitload of money for a running back anymore. It just doesn't happen. Even these badass guys that have got a huge deals here lately, it's like, it's not shit in comparison to other players.
Yeah, I mean, they only expect that car to run in 2 to 3 years.
And if you're lucky. Like, hell, look how long did Aaron Foster last? He wasn't even drafted, but I mean, he was probably the top running back of the game in the past 5 years. Well, that's all he lasted. That was it. And I don't think he even made through all those seasons anyway because of injury.
Yeah. I mean, in all your studs, quote unquote, the studs that are the running backs that are the big dogs right now, they were all taken 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah.
So.
Or not at all.
And you look at the teams that are around that area where they're picking. Are they in need of a running back? Tennessee, what are they?
Second.
They just traded for a running back.
Yeah.
They're picking.
Who's first?
I think it's Tennessee.
Is it Tennessee?
I thought it was.
Honestly, I don't remember.
We'll probably do another show.
I just know the Cowboys are way the fuck up there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always translate to good things, but. And a lot of the fan base gets upset when they trade down. It's just all on what you get.
I like your idea because that's kind of what my team did. The Raiders, like they were like, you know what, best available player.
Yeah.
Took it. I mean, you could also take the opposite look at that and be like, well, we need any player right now, so best available will fit literally anywhere. Mm-hmm. But I think that's always a good approach nowadays, anyway. Unless you just have that one, like, hey, we've got everything but a quarterback. And we need a quarterback, and it all lines up.
I do think they need to address the quarterback thing because, hopefully, Romo's around all year, but, history has told us that may not necessarily be the case.
Yeah, and he's not getting any younger.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to have to address that, whether it's through free agency, and for the love of God, quit getting us, your Ortons and your Wheatons. No,
Kellen
stop.
Moore.
Just stop. Like
Matt Castle.
Yeah.
And I get that was like to plug a hole.
Yeah. I mean, and like as soon as it was finalized what was going to happen, I mean, the writing was on the wall for Dallas. And, I was pleased with McFadden. I don't want anybody going crazy and being like, oh, sign us Lamar Miller, sign us all these guys. Like, yeah, McFadden, he's got glass knees, but hey, those glass knees behind a really good offensive line on a shitty team last year by, record definitions is that he did well. And he did really well. It's just nobody really wants to recognize it because he's not DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Which I was never really big on DeMarco Murray myself. I'm just like, yeah, he did good. That's going to happen when you give him the ball,
30
900
times.
Fucking times.
Yeah.
You better get, 1,000 plus yards if you're touching the ball that many times. And, McFadden had really good production. And if they go and they get a running back, say they trade down in the first, they get a mid-first round or 2 second-round picks and, a little bit extra at the bottom end. They got like 9 picks this year.
Yeah.
Due to the compensation picks for losing Murray or whoever it was, free agents they lost. They pick more times in the draft this year than they have in a while. So they're going to fill a bunch of needs and they're going to do it well on a financial level. And then who knows what happens.
Kind of have to go from there.
Yeah. But as we saw last year, without your quarterback, it's not really going to make a difference. If you're like, oh, well, let's go to Whedon, let's go to Castle, let's go to who's selling fucking hot dogs? Grab him.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about the next year, but I'm also very, very, I'm not going to.
You're in the middle of Des Bryant's contract, right? In the middle of that, how long has he got left?
I think he. You asked me and I don't remember right now. I think he just signed a new deal
a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, because
he's in the middle.
It was the whole do you keep DeMarco or do you keep Dez?
And
I was like, bye, DeMarco.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, dude, but bye. I'd like to keep you, but we're not going to pay you what you want. Now, and from what I read, they actually did go to Philadelphia and
see if he could get him back.
Yeah, and from the looks of it, they were just looking to fucking steal from them because Tennessee basically swapped fourths and gave him DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, I was like, that's it? That's all it costs to get DeMarco?
And that's a great deal for Tennessee. Who have they had running back there? Bishop, Sankey?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah, nobody's done anything, but I don't know how good that line is.
Plus, isn't that team up for sale right now? I think the owner died, and it's up for sale, and then they kept hey guys, let's keep on Mike Malarkey.
Are they going to be the fourth Los Angeles team? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, basically. I know they could be, or maybe they're going to London. I don't know, but
the London Knights.
The London Knights, yeah.
They draft Derrick Henry in the first round.
I'm not saying a running back can't go in the first. It's just
there will be a running back in the first, and it could very well
I agree, and his name is Derrick Henry. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
Yeah, you watch a lot more college than I do, so I'm not going to argue the point. I'm just saying, hey, it's not impossible that
I think he's a lumbering. To me, he looks like he's kind of a lumbering guy that won't last too long.
All the quick little articles that I read on him is if he gets 3 yards. If he gets 3 yards past the line of scrimmage,
nobody cares about that running back anymore.
Yeah, I'm that's really fancy, because I think, Cowboys line gives a sizable amount of yardage before first touch.
Yeah,
so they get a little bit of.
But Derrick Henry's got speed, man. He's not.
I know.
Well, he's got speed.
You say he's like a lumbering guy.
That fucking junior college and shit like that all the time, dude.
Yeah,
you're talking about the best of the best,
and that's what I'm saying.
I realize that, but we're talking about the draft.
Cleveland Browns defensive line is probably as good as any collegiate program that you're going to throw out and be tackle that guy. He's going to run it 35 times. He'll get 285 yards against whoever. But you go there and be I don't. 45 yards isn't going to cut it for us here, man. It's
that just type of player, that guy who's just gonna run, fall forward, and like you said, get 3 yards.
That's not the style of runner he is, though.
I'm just saying, when you play in the NFL, dude, your career.
Well, that may be what he becomes, but I'm saying based on that's why we're talking about the draft. We're talking about prospects, potential, the litmus test.
I know.
The litmus test for him is.
I'm just saying that running back is dying and dead right now. Nobody gives a shit about the guy that's lumbering and going to bust in the line and fall forward.
And how many of the studs...
Remember this guy's Jerome Bettis. He's not... This guy is... He's a freak.
Well, no, he's got to get those 3 yards first. We're not saying that he's not fast, that he's not these things.
Yeah.
But how many stud running backs have you seen come from college and dominate the NFL? Or even do
Can he run around
halfway
the edge?
well
is he so
their
quick?
first year?
Well, okay.
Is he so quick to run around the edge? Could he do that? I don't think so. That's a big boy.
I mean,
man.
he's did
That's
it
like saying Eddie Lacy's going to run around the edge. And is that happening? I don't know. I don't think
and maybe one of those weird formations that the Colts use.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. I don't think he's going to come in and be like a classic running back. Oh, he's just such a beast and he's running people over.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to just come in and dominate. I think he's going to have a good NFL career, and I think that
how long? How many years? What does that mean? Good NFL career?
8 years.
Jesus,
that's a stud.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. I think
that's once in a generation, maybe.
No, it's not once in a generation. All right, let's go. Matt Forte, how long? LaShawn McCoy, how long?
Fifth year, I think.
Fifth, sixth, maybe.
Getting close.
He's up.
McCoy,
he might be done this year.
LaShawn McCoy. About the same?
Yeah.
Hasn't not Pat 5?
Why don't we name running backs that are at 8 years?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know exactly.
Peterson.
You guys are saying 2 to 3 years is 2 to 3 years is what you're expected. We got 2 guys at 5, 6 plus. That's already beyond what we're talking about
but
here
you're
is
also
like,
talking about the top
are
of the
you a
game,
success?
You know?
Well, I mean, of course, we're talking about the type of game,
they're almost on their way out of the league.
I mean, are they? Just because
That's
why?
what we're going to find out.
I mean, just because they're 30? I mean, how old's Adrian Peterson? He's still going strong.
Well, we go back to that one guy.
Yeah, I've named two others.
Somebody else other than Adrian Peterson.
I did Matt Forte, LaShawn McCoy, Marshawn Lynch.
I don't put them up there with Adrian Peterson.
Well, no, they're not.
I'm saying match Adrian Peterson right now. Who has been there as long as Adrian Peterson has?
I don't know. I'd have to
Nobody.
think.
Who?
I mean, there's somebody, but he's splitting time with somebody.
Or he never plays, never hear of him. He's on a roster, but he's like the third running back, and nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. When was because I wish I had done a little bit more research before coming into this one, but because all like these numbers and everything, it's really interesting to look at when you do sit down because you're always just like, yeah, that guy's been playing forever, and then you look at it.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years, and you're just blown away by how long some of these guys have actually been playing.
Yeah.
And because I'm still. Matt Forte's a good one, but these guys that have these elongated careers like this that we're talking, and the diamonds in the rough, like they also miss seasons, entire seasons, due to tears and whatnot. But so in all actuality, I mean they probably got 3 years, 4 years tops that they've actually played.
And as far as are you looking up how long Matt Forte's been in the league?
No, I'm just trying to find just some running backs that have been playing. I guess 8 years. I guess it has to be 8
Well, that's
years.
my point. If they're at 6 right now, I can't see them going another 3, 2. I would be amazed. Wow, he got the most out of his career.
And that's not that they can't do it. It's just that's not how the NFL is playing anymore.
Frank Gore, maybe.
Oh, yeah, he's got to be up there, right?
Reggie Bush.
Okay, he's played 2 years.
What his total total
yeah, totally. He's got maybe
D'Angelo Williams, Danny Woodhead, Fred Jackson.
Yeah,
he was
Seattle.
on Seattle. But see, you're talking about guys that are shifting around, and it's really
they're the journeyman guys.
Yeah, you can almost flip a coin and be like, should you or should you not be on the team?
Yeah, I guess the question is, you think he's a franchise back? I guess
Adrian.
more,
yeah, that's a good.
That's a better term
like Adrian
of what we're looking
Peterson.
For.
Yeah, yes. I think Derrick Henry is a...
Okay. Well, we'll have to follow that, I guess, for the next decade, since he's going to be in there that long. We'll see.
Again, I could be just completely talking out of my ass and wind up being wrong because I sure as hell was with the way the season ended this year. I just did not see any of that.
Funny, the top story on Derrick Henry: Cowboys arrange closer look at Derrick Henry.
Hey,
second round, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, hell, they'll probably do it. Who knows what they're going to do?
By the way, well, I mean that's just probably a good wrap up for NFL talk.
Yeah.
Unless you just got anything else?
I like the Martellus Bennett to New England. Do
they need any more tight ends,
dude? Apparently, you can never
have Scott Chandler?
can never have enough.
They still have Scott Chandler.
Probably, yeah.
Because they don't need fullbacks, man. They'll use those guys to block and take handoffs and shit.
Gee.
It's crazy.
Doing it right, I guess.
All right. So are we anything else, or are we just?
Yeah, we just wrap it up. Thank you for giving your cowboy opinion.
All right, Derrick Henry.
And we're back in the present day.
I hope you learned something about it.
Could be, I don't know.
I hope you learned something about Derrick Henry.
Hey, we'll see.
And how much of a beast
That's a cool thing. We get to follow along here, see what happens. You know?
We'll see. So hey, use those contact details, people. Tell me how crazy I am about my opinion about Derrick Henry.
Maybe you're not.
Maybe I'm not. Yeah, maybe not. I probably am, though.
I did think, didn't Ryan text us about what he was seeing, where he was drafted at? The highest he was being drafted at was very end of the first round.
Which, hey, that's still the first round.
Yeah, that's still the first round.
Still the first round.
But everybody else had him as a second rounder, so hey, we'll see. Draft is not that far along, and probably we'll be, like I said at the first episode, we'll be coming back to NFL and the draft and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so... You had some stuff, though, that you wanted to bring up today.
Yeah. We've,
You've teased it a bit to me because I
Well, I just wanted to get it all recorded, so instead of
Okay.
just talking to you about it, let's just have a frank conversation about
Let's
it. You know, we
fucking do
did
it.
a soccer episode not too long back,
Yep.
and
Which don't forget, I wrote that thing down on there. That I want to talk
Yeah,
about. I heard a cool
that-
story about that
yeah,
today.
okay.
I say cool, an interesting story.
we did a episode that was just on soccer or football or whatever we want to call it in the state of Oklahoma and the teams that are going on here. And there was a new one out in Yukon playing, and they're going to get started as of this recording. I think their first game is tomorrow.
This is Rayo FC.
Rayo FC, yeah. And what I kind of wanted to talk about is they released what's called their kits. You know what that is?
Their uniforms, right?
Their uniforms, right?
Okay.
I'm just like I said, I'm new to this, so I'm kind of like, what the fuck's a kit? Oh, it's it's not just the uniforms. It's like they've got all sorts of different
They're
uniforms.
scarves.
Maybe that's it. Rayo FC released theirs, and I kind of this is just from a total naive standpoint. I looked at them and I was like, oh, what is this? One's black and it has like a rainbow going across it, and it's like rainbow on the edges and stuff. And I was like, okay. And then another one's like, I think they're like black with like a pink sash. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then they have like their main one that's like white with the red, and that's kind of the team's colors.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was expecting. I was like, huh. And I just texted a friend of mine that's into soccer, and I was like, have you seen these yet? Like, I was like, what the hell do they make these for? I just had no idea about it. And he's like, well, that's what the team that they're affiliated in La Liga, that's what they use as uniforms. Rayo Valencia, I think, is the team they're affiliated.
Okay.
Or Valencino, I might be saying that wrong. And I was like, oh, okay. And I saw the rainbows and stuff, and I was like, I didn't want to like bash it, because I honestly, this might not be a popular opinion with guys, but like, I'm like, sometimes I kind of like the rainbows and the colors and stuff. You've lived in Hawaii. That
was, trust me, rainbows all over their
exactly,
their sports.
The Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah, they were called the Rainbow Warriors and the Rainbows for so long, and I think now they just go by Warriors.
They did for a while. Now they're going back.
Well, see, because then there was a time they were called, I thought, like the Menehune Warriors, which Menehunes are like these sort of mythical like, I don't know, like Polynesian goblins, or I don't know. So
hobbits, whatever.
Yeah, little hobbits. But they wear these like tiki masks and have spears and like murder people or something. I don't know, or maybe they're benevolent. I don't know. The way I always
don't piss them off.
Yeah,
find out.
The way I always took it is that you didn't want to be visited by Menehune spirits because your shit was loose if that was the case. So it made sense for a football team. I was like, fuck yeah, Menehune Warriors, dude. That's cool. They got the fucking spears and shit, and I just thought it was cool. It made sense for football anyway. I was like, yeah, man, it's it's
a local thing too,
Yeah.
Okay.
But so the rainbow was definitely prevalent on sports logos. I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's there's a word for it, a better word than just logos. But anyway,
it's all over everything.
Stuff. So
branding, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I saw it had a rainbow, and I kind of thought, like, well, usually that's kind of a gay pride type of thing, or LGBT, that the rainbow. I was like, maybe it has something to do with that. I didn't know.
Like if it was like sort of like whenever the NFL wears pink for a while for breast cancer.
Exactly, and that might be why they have pink on the other kits. I honestly don't know, but I was just like, at first I was just like, oh, I thought they were going to make their own uniforms. But I just kind of did a little research on the team, and plus talking to a friend of mine, he's like, no, it's a carbon copy. Like they're just basically the same team, except they're affiliated with the main one in La Liga, and they just call themselves Rayo FC. And I'm like, oh yeah, the name's almost the same. So okay, I get it. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually look into it at all, like what they mean. I just thought they took what they had and was like, cool, that's our same kits. But like, I think later that day I was on Twitter and I see someone from the Grid tweet something, which we've talked about the supporters groups in our last episode. And, we had
all bow to the roustabouts.
Yeah, exactly. There's 3 supporters group in the state, and 2 of them got with us, and 1 didn't. It's all, and we kind of left it at that. I didn't really want to like be a prick about it,
I kind of was maybe.
Kind of wanted to, but like, hey,
I might have been a little bit, but we'll
give a little courtesy. But anyway, they put out a tweet, and it's basically like pulling up this I think they retweeted like the kit release that Rayo FC had just done, and it was like, well, we're upset they missed an opportunity to say something about how this supports LGBT rights, and that Oklahoma City is a progressive city, and they could have done better. And before you have any opinions, let me kind of delve into like all this. I kind of just rolled my eyes at it just because I could tell it was like, hey, the Grid, and I don't know if we talked about this a lot in the last episode. They kind of take every opportunity to go, there's this other team in Oklahoma City. Well, they're nothing. They're irrelevant. We don't even, they're just dumb, and that's something I thought that was very professional from the roustabouts, was that they had opinions on Rayo FC or OKC. I think that's actually its technical name. But I don't see them like going, well, fuck them, openly a lot. Just an observation of mine. So I just kind of see that, and I'm like, I roll my eyes, whatever, And I don't even know if it actually has anything to do with LGBT rights or whatever.
Does it have to?
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Time goes on, and I just kind of let it blow off. I see someone else reply, and they're like, aren't you kind of reaching a little bit? Because I guess the home team, the Rayo from Spain, that is actually the point of those rainbow kits. They're like, the rainbow is, it's for LGBT rights. And then they go even further, like, this certain color represents child abuse. This certain color represents autism, and all sort. They go into all sorts of social causes, basically.
Okay.
And they reply to this guy, and they're just like, well, if this certain person, I can't remember his name, if this person can say it, then why can't the Rayo management? And I looked up the guy, and I'm like, the guy's the owner of the team. So I'm like, I just asked him, like, is that splitting hairs a little bit? Because the owner says it, but the management didn't. So, like, is that, like, what's going on? And, some other people from the Grid kind of piped in, like, well, they can't have it both ways. They had I think Chris Brannick is his name. He's a reporter for the Oklahoman, and he's someone who actually covers soccer in the area. I think he's one of the only people doing it as far as at the Oklahoman. And I was just kind of like, what link? I'd actually like, I'm kind of curious, like, what you're implying, like, did they say something bad about it, or did they say something good about it? I don't know. Never got a reply. This sounds familiar coming from people from the Grid.
Yeah.
And, I actually just did I was like, fine, fuck it. I end up looking it up, and like in the article from Chris Brannick, he's talking about the kits that they just put out, and he's like, yes, they do, the home team from Spain, yes, they're a very social conscious team. They actually made a point to, you were just asking, like, do they have to? I'm like, no, they don't, but like this team did make a point to do it. Okay,
yeah.
Cool on them. It's your team, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when Rayo tweeted this out, they basically had a picture, and they had everything being described as far as the colors and stuff, and it didn't say anything about the LGBT stuff, and that's why the Grid retweeted it. Or, made a comment about it. And I was just kind of like, well, isn't that like
petty as fuck?
Well, that, maybe they're right. This is what I said. I was like, maybe it does need to not be excluded, but this is also, like I said, coming from a team that takes every chance it gets to trash these people. So I'm like, how can I really, not take it with a grain of salt? Like.
Well, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead.
It's just. So I just kind of, I think the conversation kind of ends there, and I just kind of it made me think, like, well, does the Energy openly support this stuff?
What to say?
Because the accusations were like, well, what actually got me further thinking about it, I get up this morning, there's a Deadspin article about this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Holy shit. And they're talking about how, these kits that Rayo OKC released are great, and they didn't happen to mention the LGBT stuff. So that kind of, it's just kind of perpetuating the story, which you can, maybe they I don't know, maybe they didn't want to release it. I could actually see why they didn't want to, because, and this was something that was thrown out in some of the articles, Oklahoma's very religious and kind of, not for that. Were they not trying to rub people the wrong way? I totally get that. But I actually saw Chris Brannick retweeting that same story, and I just asked him, I was like, hey, is there any soccer team in the state that supports openly supports LGBT rights? Because you've got a supporters group here who's like, hey, we're going to attack this team that quasi does in their opinion, and in a way it's true.
Well, they're trying to imply that they're, like you just said, the implication is that your parent team over in Europe openly supports this. You have to wear organizationally the same colors they do. So you're just showing your uniform, but you're trying to conceal the fact that it's a support for LGBT. There's other letters there too. Q.
Rights.
Yeah. You're trying to suppress that.
Yeah.
And you're just maybe hoping that nobody notices. That's the implication.
Yeah, and maybe it's true. I don't know.
I doubt it.
Maybe they didn't put it up there for a reason, or they fucking just didn't put it up there. I don't know.
I mean, there's probably a couple
because,
of
like
things.
I said, I looked at Chris Brannick's article, and it's like it kind of implies yes. We actually had a reply when I asked Chris Brannick that question: is there any other teams openly supporting? His reply was no, not really. And I'll kind of get to my point I wanted to make on that.
Sure.
But we also brought them up in the last podcast, talking about soccer, the Scissortail podcast that covers Rayo. Mm-hmm. He's like, they've actually interviewed them, and they said, oh, yes, this is what it means. So
maybe they expected too much of us then. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the conundrum it puts me in, as far as, especially with the grid. One supporters group has done so well, they're winning awards as far as communications going.
You talking about the roustabouts?
Roustabouts, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they won a fan over here. Here in front of you.
Definitely. Man, hold up.
Hold up. We got to get the scarf out.
Chilling. Yeah, I got the scarf within arm's reach. I'm grabbing it now, and I'm gonna rock this motherfucker for the rest of the podcast.
But here's the thing. Say you're supporting LGBT rights then. This Rayo OKC is the only team in the state that's even, maybe they're kind of not explicit, they're just doing it explicitly. They're not purposely implying that, yes, this is what this is for. But they're the only ones even doing that sort of thing.
It's part of their team heraldry.
Yeah, they're the only ones even doing that sort of thing. And then we attack them. So it's kind of like, what's the energy got to say about this? It just makes me ask. Do they out there openly flying the flag and saying, hey, we support this stuff too?
Well,
other than a tweet that you retweeted the grid and things like that. So
it sounds like a very self-righteous fucking tweet.
That's my point. Not that I don't, not that I care whether a team supports LGBT rights or not. I would hope, equality for everybody. I don't give. I love all. Yeah, cool.
I don't think you're obligated to, and I don't think even if you do, I don't think you're obligated to make a huge deal about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty big deal that they put it as part of their kits.
I kind of like
their branding. Their branding has that on it. So my question to
I thought it sucked in the first place just because I was like, well, I don't know I thought those were going to be more local, or they're going to make their own thing, but I didn't know they were going to copy from their original team.
I mean,
I'm like, okay, cool.
I mean, I'll say this, like when you told me that there's a rainbow logo, that's the first thing I think is, it's probably
that's kind of what I thought.
It's probably a visual statement of solidarity with, the LGBT causes and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to say anything, in my opinion. It's fucking pretty obvious. It's right there. But my question to the grid would be, okay, cool. So you guys want to make these sort of, implications. What's the Energy's colors? How come there's no fucking rainbows on your team's heraldry?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure there's not.
And this is kind of my point about the grid. I'm like, why do you even put yourself in a position like that? Do you know what it takes to become an MLS team? You have to have so many supporters groups. Yep. You have to have so many people in these supporters groups. What happened to you?
I didn't join that group.
You didn't join that group.
So
just saying,
Yeah.
I'm like, you want to go and openly, you want to be, part of an elitist kind of club. Cool. Just saying. And it just seems very hypocritical of me, especially when I see people like from that group, like, grow the game, #grow the game, man. Grow the game.
Hey, man,
but by the way, fuck this other team.
As an official representative of the Roustabouts, I'd like to let you know, buddy, there's always a spot for you over here. I'm just saying.
Hey, I can be an Energy fan. I don't need the grid.
That's
just
fair.
saying.
That's fair.
I was actually at the home opener, which this is something we can kind of bring up. I think the Energy got a TV deal, and so did Rayo.
Wow.
So they're going to be on TV locally here.
What about Roughnecks?
Tulsa's only going to be on when the Energy play them,
okay.
which I kind of was like, damn, come on, what is Tulsa got anything in the works? I'm kind of curious. You know?
That'd be interested to hear. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to this really quick, though, just because I think it's I see. Here's what I don't like: the grid rather are seeming to take this attitude, this reactionary attitude that, like, I am not a fan of, like, these faux social justice causes. Like,
okay,
we're going to make it an issue that somebody is doing something that's obviously in support of something, but we don't think they're being vocal enough about it. So we're going to make a big fucking deal about that. It's like you're a supporter, but you're not the right kind of supporter. Yeah. You need to be a vocal supporter.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I don't like that people are trying to dictate to other people how you need to go about supporting different causes that you want to support.
I'll say this. Sometimes I can't understand it. Sometimes it's kind of like this. You're actually going after the only team that's even doing it in the first place, though.
Yeah, they're the only...
That's what's kind of fucked up to it. I'm like, maybe you are right. I'm not going to say, that's debatable. Maybe they do need to come out and be like, yes, this is for LGBT. If you couldn't, get the get the fucking hint as it was already, or read the article that says, hey, the home team is openly doing this, and that's exactly what it's for. If you couldn't have your hand held along the whole way,
that's what. Yeah, and
fine. Like I said, we can debate that, but you're also going out of your way to, like I said, bash the only people that are even doing it in the first place.
Yeah, but see, that's what I think. If the roles were reversed a bit, I still think it would be a crock of shit if, say, Rayo was coming out, like, say, the Energy released their kits and they don't have any of this, anything emblazoned on it that is an obvious
supporting gay pride or anything
any
like
sort
that.
of social justice cause.
Anything, yeah.
And Rayo came out after him and tried to say, oh, well, look, we've got rainbows on our uniforms. We support LGBT. How come you guys don't?
Yeah.
I think it would just be as much, if the Energy were just like, fuck you guys, dude. Yeah. We don't have to do that. You want to do it that way, that's great. Does that mean every team needs to have rainbows on their uniforms? I think no. Not that... I want my...
That's why I asked Chris Brannick, I'm like, hey, you seem to be covering all this. Do you know of any teams that are doing this? Because you've got one team that, these other teams that don't openly go out of their way, and you've got a supporters group from them basically judging this other one.
Yeah.
And like I said, what you're openly supported? I looked up, just Googling it, and the grid openly support. You know what I found? Not shit supporting this stuff. But you sure have a fucking opinion about, this other team.
Yeah, and it sounds like
and
Rayo...
maybe there's certain, like I said, there's certain parts you're right about. But you're not going to fucking grow the goddamn game by openly attacking these people all the time. And I know there's some animosity that we kind of covered, like when the Energy got started, there was a split in the investment group, and that's where Rayo FC kind of came from. So I get that there's some animosity.
Yeah, well, get the fuck over it at some point.
I know, but that's my point. Like, you openly attack them a lot. Well, guess what they start doing? They're openly attacking us. Like, the Energy lost their home opener. Rayo FC kind of tweeted like, hey, Energy lose, but by the way, there's some world-class soccer coming next week. I was like, oh, shots fired.
That's good shit talking.
That is good,
If you're going to talk some shit, that's sports. Like,
you can be playful with it.
See, it seems like Rayo has it in their mind. Why don't we just shut up and play some fucking soccer?
Yeah.
You guys played some soccer and didn't do so well. We'll comment on that. Forget these social justice causes that we're going to make such a big deal about whenever Rayo sounds like they're the only one that's got the stones enough, I guess you could say, to permanently put it as part of their team logos and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good for them.
Which is great. That's cool, man. Cool. Yeah. Go nuts. I mean, great. I'm all for it. But I don't think that should make either the Energy or the Roughnecks feel like, oh, well, we got to do it too now. I don't think...
Well, you just mention the Roughnecks. Here's the difference between the Roughnecks and the Roustabouts versus the grid here. Maybe they don't support it. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't give a shit. But you know what? They wouldn't have found themselves in the middle of this. Because you know what? They're fucking professionals.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, this isn't something to comment on.
Yeah.
This is, well, first of all,
or if we did, we'd actually know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah.
As far as like,
first of all, you're just asking for
some backing from it because, hey, we do it too. So,
yeah.
Oh, guess what? I couldn't find anything on it.
Yeah.
And maybe I just couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
And if there was some big, child abuse rally at the Energy or LGBT Gay Pride Day, I don't know, some kind of event, I just couldn't find any of it. So just throw that out there.
Which is funny because they made a point to say, well, the Energy in Oklahoma City, we're what they say, like you said in the tweets, like, we're inclusive and we support these causes. And my question to them would be, cool, where's your proof? What have you done? Because Rayo's got it on their uniform.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think, in general, these fan groups, the roustabout sounds like they, can see the writing on the wall. First of all, you wade into this shit, it's a quagmire anyway. This day and age, all these sort of, everything's so touchy about, what
Plus,
can you say.
Texts and tweets can be so taken out of context.
Yeah.
And things like that.
It's smart to be smart about what you say.
I honestly just wanted to know about it. I'm not trying to talk shit on anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm objective. I'm an Energy fan. At times, sometimes I don't give a fuck about the Roughnecks or Rayo because I'm not a fan of them. I am kind of curious with the sport and the teams in the state and how they're doing and what that all means. And, as we said, we'll talk about that. But it just, like I said, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
It seemed really fucking lame.
We've already had kind of like, we couldn't even get a response from the grid. And, I'll just say this is some of the stuff we didn't bring up because we were kind of being nice last episode. I hear they take a lot of time to respond to anybody sometimes, and actually go to their Facebook supporters page. They've got a post for something, and one of the first comments on is, "I paid my dues, but I didn't get my scarf." From somebody, and it's like, yeah, it's maybe that's just a coincidence, but it seems to be par for course for that group. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it sounds like. I don't know. It sounds like all they're really interested in doing is just slinging shit all over the place, it's fucking muckraking. That's what it is. Yeah. That's all. That's all it sounds like they're interested in doing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like these other clubs
are
like,
pisses me off.
We're gonna play some soccer and we'll have our social networking and stuff here, and we'll do some communications and stuff.
Yeah.
The Rayo took I think a very acceptable sports, jab at the Energy. And I mean, if you're an Energy fan, you might be like, oh, those sons of bitches. But, just handle business whenever you play them, if you do. So, I don't know. It just seems like I said, it seems lame. It seems petty. Doesn't even need to be fucking
as Chris Brannick put it, he was like, I asked him if there's any other teams that support LGBT rights openly. And he's like, honestly, no one will stand up against, but no one is rushing to support it either. And that's kind of,
And the grid are going to attack the team that's got it on their fucking logos.
I know.
So whenever they take the pitch at times, see, I'm learning the terms.
There you go.
They'll have their uniforms will have a rainbow logo on them, which this day and age, just about everybody fucking knows that's the symbol for LGBT rights and activism and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe they should have made a big deal about it. I'm not going to be the judge. I don't know. I honestly, like, I went to Rayo's website and they were just saying, hey, we released new kits, and that's kind of all they left it at. So they didn't even go into like a lot of the detail.
I don't think they're obligated. I personally don't feel they're obligated to do anything else. I think it's pretty obvious.
I can understand.
Maybe they overestimated us Oklahoma yokels or whatever. I don't know. But
maybe they are like, God, we don't want to offend some of the religious people.
They're not gonna. I think
that's pretty dumb because, like I said, it took me 2 seconds to figure out. It's
yeah, and
I very much so. The case.
I think for all the talk about it, I think. Most
just
people,
not having it in your tweet, I'm like, God, blame someone in the graphics department because that's what they did. They released a picture and it's got the kits and, like I said, it's got a diagram.
Yeah,
they could have put like LGBT. This whole thing means LGBT rights. The rainbow does. If you didn't know, and there would have been no problem.
Yeah, but I think and in the end, I mean, and again, that might have been their thought process. Like, we don't want to offend anybody here, but I think maybe they can see that for all our talk about it. Oklahoma is not like the Oklahoma Sooners have come out in total support of all these things. That's the biggest game going here.
Yeah.
The Thunder have done it. I mean, it's not a, you can say what you want. People can have, varying opinions on all this kind of stuff, but overall, I think it's not going to break your business here in Oklahoma.
No, the Energy, I think, are doing fine.
Yeah, and especially
honestly.
The Oklahoma City Metro.
It's big
socially,
enough.
it is socially progressive as far as it's not San Francisco, but it's not it's not like 1950s Mississippi or anything like that. It's not that's not what we're
here. We're moving forward, maybe slowly, but
yeah, I mean, and hey.
So that's something when we did our soccer episode, we talked to people from Rayo and the Scissortail podcast. That was a lot of what they said. Like they think there's no problem with two franchises being in the same city. Like we think the place is big enough, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean we're about to find out.
That's just an opinion, but we're gonna find out. But it doesn't mean we got to go in and openly attack them at every chance we get. And I'll say this: the Grid's not the only Energy supporters group anymore. There was actually a little group that was there already at the home opener that was doing a pretty good job. We actually got down 2 goals really quickly and badly in the game, and got a goal, got back, and seems it's kind of a quiet time. We're trying to kind of pick up some momentum. We get some momentum. Energy's quiet. Or not the Energy, the Grid. The Grid's quiet. And I made a tweet about it. I was like, Grid's quiet right now. We're actually getting some momentum. This is like when you would want to be like getting people fired up. This other little supporters group, which I believe the name is Furia Verde. I think they're a Spanish-speaking group, which if I'm not, a big Spanish speaker, but I'm going to guess that means...
probably just butchered both those words.
Well, no, that's I'm going to guess it means green for fury, which I'm like, hey, cool name.
Yeah.
But they're up there on the other stands just like going ape shit going to town, like getting people riled up. And we're over here just like, oh yeah, I guess we should sing a song. And they finally got into it. I don't know if it was because of my tweet or they just finally got off their asses and did something, but I'm just saying, I'm like... Up your game, for God's sakes. Jesus Christ, people. I mean, I know you're cool and you're in a club and everything, but goddamn, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've ranted enough. I told you I was going to be a little fired up because this shit rubs me the wrong way. If you want to grow the goddamn game, I guess...
Shut up and play the fucking game.
Shut up and play the game. That's right. I had, something else I tweeted. It's like, we've got our opinions. Everyone's got their opinions about this club and the other. Or what this... league means, or this one's gonna fail and this one isn't. Whatever.
Yeah,
let's find out.
At the end of the day, that whole attack on them just comes off as
you can be professional and not have to totally bring that shit up all the time.
Yeah, it just comes off as pathetic.
Yeah,
that's in a word. Yeah, it's pathetic. And if I was running Rayo's, maybe it's probably a really good thing I'm not. But if I was running Rayo's social networking stuff, actually, I think they took the best opportunity they could. Yeah. And when the Energy got beat, they were like,
I laughed, I chuckled.
Let's go.
Even though it's my team, like, damn, we did just lose,
Yeah, let's go ahead and okay. So you guys got jokes and comments or whatever about our shit. Let's talk about the actual product on the field.
Yeah.
Bam.
And they do
hit
that.
You.
They're kind of throwing that. They got world class.
Yeah,
players. And I'm like, that's kind of funny. I mean, they do. I mean, fuck, they've got some.
Prove them wrong.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
Instead of talking about this whole shit we've just been talking about for the last hour, we could actually be talking about the sport and what's going on, how it's
Which I'm sure they
growing the game.
The Roughnecks did win their opener.
Yes, they did.
And so hey, keep on trucking.
Their hashtag is Crude Capital.
Crude Capital.
Crude Capital. Yeah. And
I like it.
I think. The Energy use User Energy, and Rayo OKC uses Elevate.
Nice.
I was like, that's cool. I like it. So yeah, why don't we do some of that instead of bitching and moaning
about
anybody can bitch and moan.
Really nitpicky crap, like
yeah.
When you don't even, I swear, it's like you think you're talking to the kettle, you're not. And you don't even realize you're the fucking pot.
That's what kind of pissed me off a little bit about it. And I just didn't know. And I kind of wanted to, I was a naive fan and I'm kind of newish to the sport. I was like, okay, what is this? Oh, are they? I didn't know they were even using the kits from. And I was just like, what? It just rubs me the wrong way, man. Like I said, if they were big LGBT supporters, I wind up saying that acronym. If they were that big of supporters of it and were always behind it and then made that comment, I would give a little more weight to it. But you're not. So
I still wouldn't personally, but
okay. Yeah, I understand.
Just because I just don't think anybody's because if it were me, if I were
that's
running
their cause, then they don't even have the fucking cause.
Yeah. But if they didn't, at least I would be like, if I were the team that's somebody who was a huge supporter of these things, and they started trying to swing at me on it, I would just be like, no, man, we're a soccer team. We're here to play soccer.
Yeah. And like I said, if we miss some stuff that these teams have supported, hey, let us know. Well, I don't mind talking about it or being wrong about it or whatever.
This won't be the last soccer podcast we do.
No. Especially when the Energy beat the Roughnecks. I think the next time we play.
Please. We're going to talk about that, man. You better hope they don't. You better hope.
That's
you
all right.
better hope.
Hey, they play twice a year.
Well, that's 2 losses
and maybe,
for the Energy.
I don't know if they get to play each other in Open Cup. Rayo might play.
Well, I'm sorry, but the Energy have to make the Open Cup first.
I think we can do that.
I don't know. Is that a tournament, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And you have to qualify for it?
I don't think so. I think that's. Okay. I think
everybody gets in. Basically,
some MLS teams get in. We get in. Some. I think maybe even lower teams than NASL and USL get kind of in.
Okay.
Huh. I'm a little. I don't know.
That's why it's called.
It.
Is it just called the Open Cup?
Yeah, and it goes on.
Maybe that's why it's called that. Because
I kind of followed a little bit last year because the Energy were in it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And we actually ended up playing, I think, FC Dallas, the team that we're affiliated with now, or Dallas FC. What the fuck? I don't know. And seriously, the acronyms are crazy in soccer, but it just kind of got me interested last year when we were in it, and I kind of followed along with it, and I'm like, oh, cool. So that's an avenue where we. Energy or maybe the Roughnecks could actually play Rayo, even though we're not in the same league.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. Just saying.
Especially
if Rayo won. I'm just saying, all this shit talking and then Rayo won. Oh, my God. I would feel like shit just as an Energy fan, and then you would also have to live it down because we'd have to bring it up. We'd have to, good Lord.
I have a feeling the grid would be very quiet that week.
Well, we're the better team, and I get it. I don't know. It just aggravates me to no end.
Yeah, it's a dumb argument to just create.
Yeah.
It's stupid. But anyway, so is that all you had on that right there?
Yeah, that's all we're going to talk about the soccer. The game.
Well, I have one more thing to talk about soccer in general.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so I almost forgot.
I heard on the radio today that apparently some very prominent players. I don't know if it's a whole bunch of U.S. women's national team soccer players, but names like Hope Solo, Rapinoe, Wambach, I think, and what's Carly Lloyd or something like that.
You know more than I do, but
those are big.
I recognize these people. I don't know all
big
their names.
Prominent names attached to this. It's I believe maybe a class action lawsuit. Apparently now. The women's U.S. national team is paid 4 times less than the men's.
I think we might have brought this up a little bit on the last soccer podcast.
That they were paid, that there was a disparity in pay.
Oh, a huge disparity, yeah.
But, in that, I mean, that's crazy considering at least what they say when it was reported was that last year the women's team generated $20 million more in revenue than the men's team. Yet they were paid
that much less.
4 times less. However...
Okay.
What I think bears a little noting. I think it's ridiculous anyway because I do think you should be paid proportionally to what sort of actual revenue you generate. I think it's a little I don't want to say myopic. It's a little short-sighted, I think, to just take that at face value because they compared 2015 to 2015 for both teams. The women just came off of a World Cup year. Not only was it a World Cup year, they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of extra revenue, whereas 2015 for the men was not a World Cup year. There was no World Cup money to get. And so I think if you were to take maybe the 2014 men's team, again, where it was a World Cup year, against the 2015 women's World Cup year, I don't know. I'm not going to make a statement here like a fact. I'm just curious if those figures would be closer.
I don't think so.
Well, the men didn't.
Just guessing. That's just I haven't dealt.
I mean, there's a lot of money that gets dispensed to teams in the World Cups.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
This is just what I remember, just off the top of my head. I think one of these ladies was on a podcast and was talking about this issue. Germany, when their men's team won, they got $150 million to divvy up between the players. When the U.S. women's won, they got 15.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do a lot of work to close that gap. If that's what you're talking about.
Well, no. I'm just talking about United States.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
The
Comparing
revenue
the men's
that
and women's
sport
team.
generated in the United States.
Okay, yeah. Who are they suing?
I don't know exactly. I don't know if
because
they're
I
suing...
retweeted an article from 538 that was kind of talking about this, and I mainly did it because I was wanting to read it later today. So I know a little bit what you're talking about, but I didn't, I don't know exactly like the legal details because that's what I'm interested in. Is like, who are they suing to make this right? Some kind of soccer organization that pays them, I guess.
Let's see. The U.S. I'm waiting for this article to load. The U.S. Soccer Federation has sued the union of its World Cup winning women's soccer team, saying it fears that players... Oh, wait, no, this is a totally different fucking thing.
Well, that's who I would guess
this
they'd
is
be
over
suing,
the CBA.
like I said, some kind of soccer organization. I think we mentioned in our last soccer podcast, that's the USSF, is the people that kind of run...
here we go.
People in North America as far as soccer goes, and they kind of report to FIFA.
U.S. women's team files wage discrimination action versus U.S. soccer. So
the U.S. soccer team,
yeah,
like the national team has
against the U.S. Soccer Federation with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Okay.
The EEOC. Okay, I've heard of them before. It cites figures from 2015 financial report, says that despite the women's team generating nearly 20 million more revenue last year than the men, the women's are paid about a quarter of what the men are. So, but again, I'm just curious. I mean, it's citing that one thing. I'm sure there's more to bring into it.
Maybe they've got a case though.
But it does sound like 4 times less is. But here's the thing: I don't have a problem if the women's team, like I said when we talked about that podcast, if the men get paid $150 million for winning the World Cup and the sport generates $500 million or whatever, $1 billion, I'm fine with that. And the women get paid $15 million and their sport generates $150 million. I'm fine.
Lot less is what you're talking about.
I'm fine with there being a disparity.
But is that the case? I think.
But again, and I think that's. It would surprise, because I know at least in the United States, like we said before, and I really harped on it, I think the women's team is driving interest more than the men's team, and it looks like, at least last year, but again, it was a World Cup year, as far as soccer goes, as far as I've understood and read before, the World Cup is really where a ridiculous amount of money is swirling around.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, I would be really curious to see what the men made in 2014 compared to the women in 2015, because those were both years where they were competing in the World Cup. Granted, the men got nowhere near as far as the women did. The women won the whole fucking thing. The men, we did okay. We did, decent. We got to some of the later rounds, I think, or we got to a later round. So I'd like to know how much money
sounds like something to research.
Yeah. So, and again, it does sound kind of ridiculous. So the 4 times less, gosh, I would be shocked to know that that's how much less they make. But we did just recently have some stuff about, Title IX and all that sort of thing with, essentially, you have all these non-money making sports that are basically propped up by money making sports.
Yeah. And you get that always comes up with, like, when you're wanting to pay student athletes. Well, if you pay people like football players, do you then pay the women's volleyball team that doesn't generate near as much money as, say, like the men's football team, like a college, right?
Yeah.
Which I think that's its own episode that I definitely want to visit in the future, because we've had opinions on paying athletes, student athletes, and things like that. So yeah, hey, let's see what happens as far as their legal case. I'm kind of I'm interested. It sounds like they felt confident enough to at least go forward with it.
Sure, and there's a lot of big names attaching themselves to it. So I don't know if there's other people involved.
Could be a landmark thing, honestly, man.
Yeah, and I think
maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I mean, if there is an unfair disparity there, then I think it should be addressed. But if it is, but again, like I said, I don't know how all this stuff works as far as, yes, the U.S. women made more than the men did in the national stage, but internationally, it's a different story, and these are international federations.
Does that figure into what they get paid by?
Yeah,
from
exactly.
The
I don't
national
know.
team? Yeah,
I don't know. Where does FIFA come in here? Do they dispense the money?
Shit, I don't know, man.
So yeah, I mean, I know most of it goes into people's pockets for favors and shit. Apparently,
Americans learning about soccer. Tune into Unidentified Flying Podcast.
So we'll kind of maybe keep an eye on that story. I just heard it on the radio today. And I was like, that's interesting.
I knew exactly what you were talking about because I saw some of it. So
yeah, we'll follow up on all this stuff and have some more soccer stuff to talk about later.
Hell yeah, of course we will.
Was there anything else that you had?
That's it.
So it's time to blast off out of here then, yeah?
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, so until next time, this has been Drew and...
This is Brad.
And you've been listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Light years ahead of the curve.